It's the What a Weird Week show year in review. What a weird year.
Hi, everybody, it's Weird.
This is like crazy being here.
Really weird tales.
Well, I got a great show for you today with some wonderful weird stuff.
Hi, friends. I'm Scott. This is the What a Weird Week show. If you're new, usually every Friday we drop a new episode counting down 10 of the weirdest news stories of the past week. But it's the end of the year, baby. So time to look back at 2023 and the year of weird. Here we go. Season 4, episode 66, first published Friday, December 29th, 2023. Year in review. We're going to go month by month, pick out a couple weird stories from each month of the year, and they might not necessarily be the biggest, the most wide-reaching of the weird stories, because that would be, we'd have an entire episode of UFOs, I think. Nothing but UFO stories, which other podcasts are doing that better. So I'm not going up against podcast UFO. Martin, I'm not going up against you, Martin. Don't want to cross you, man. So, having vaguely explained our algorithm of weirdness, let's go.
January.
Okay, January 2023, we kicked off the year with a headline from the Today Show, which I thought was almost perfect. Their headline was, River of Melted Butter Spills into Wisconsin Canal After Fire at Dairy Plant. Now that I hear it back, I mean, the content was fantastic, but it was kind of a normal headline. Firefighters up to their knees in melted butter, trying to get up the steps of the dairy, describing a molten river of butter flowing into Portage Canal. No cheese was involved in this dairy meltdown. The firefighters, so slipping and sliding around in that butter. No injuries reported, and people in the neighborhood reported smelling delicious melted butter for time afterwards. That's one of our January stories. Butter Canal.
January.
Also January, miracle plankton will save us all from disease and future generations. You're going to live forever. Citation needed. So this was the story about that plankton researchers discovered. Freshwater plankton. You hear a story like that, new plankton discovered. I don't know. I go right to, somebody jumped in the water and then the plankton ate their toes off or something. But no. Some sort of freshwater plankton that has an appetite for viruses. It eats the bad stuff. So researchers are excited about that. Maybe someday we'll sit down to a nice brimming bowl of plankton, maybe sugar-frosted plankton for breakfast, and we eat that, it eats our viruses, we live forever.
February.
February 2023, our first mention of that asteroid that might be worth more than all the money in the world. NASA sending a spaceship to that asteroid. They believe this rare asteroid could be worth 70,000 times more than the global economy. So 70,000 times $100 trillion. That's a 7 with 18 zeros. The asteroid is named 16 Psyche, which at the time when we reported this in February, I thought that sounded like a store in the mall that sells earrings and perhaps cute tops. 16 Psyche. I stand by that. If you said you were going to 16 Psyche, what? You're not picturing an asteroid right away, are you? You're picturing a store in the mall. Spoiler alert, this would not be the last time we talked about 16 Psyche during the What a Weird Week show. And somebody later on tried to walk back the valuation of the asteroid. So, to be continued.
February
2023, we learned of that company. They first wanted to bring back the woolly mammoth. The company is named Colossal. Then they announced they wanted to bring back the dodo bird. Then it came out that the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, that CIA, was one of the backers of this company named Colossal. And we weren't sure why. Was it just a good investment for the CIA? Do they do that sort of thing? Or were they hoping for spy dodo birds? Or perhaps weaponized dodo birds? Not sure. Still not sure. As you can imagine, the details are scarce. People are tight-lipped about this one. And I wasn't sure if we should bring this back up. Talk about it again, because I do not want to get on the CIA's radar. You know? But we need the downloads also, so maybe I do want to get on the CIA's radar. I'm conflicted. Thanks for being here. This is the What a Weird Week show, year in review. Weird year.
March.
In March of 2023, cars that will repossess themselves were in the news. This after Ford's patent for systems and methods to repossess a vehicle got into the headlines. Part of the patent had to do with cars of the future, but really, some cars already can drive themselves. So cars of the now, cars of the future, but also cars of the now. The technology has to do with a car that can drive itself to a tow truck driver. So they're not in harm's way. You know, they could just wait in a nice, safe location with lots of eyewitnesses. And then your car disappears. You haven't maybe made your payments. Your car drives itself to the tow truck driver, or maybe right to the junkyard or the car lot. We're close to that happening. I feel like, and we had this story in March before AI was real. I mean, we had some AI stories, but now we know more about AI. What you want to do is make friends with the AI that is your vehicle. And then if you fall behind in the payments, you reason with your AI and say, look, you don't want to go to the junkyard. They're going to smush you. AI car, Charlie, let's call our car Charlie. Or Pat. They're going to smush you, Pat. So you stay with me. Let's go to Mexico. Something like that. Now we know a little bit more about AI and this technology. Maybe there's a workaround, is all I'm saying. Also, in March of 2023, Rolls-Royce made our program. The Rolls-Royce nuclear reactors that will be on the moon to power our moon bases. That all seems made up. That's weird. Rolls-Royce company got funding from the UK Space Agency to make a moon-based nuclear reactor. They want small reactors for when we get our moon bases up and running, or maybe some would argue we already have some up there, the secret ones. Anyway, moon base powered by Rolls-Royce. It sounds rather classy, and that made the news in March. April of 2023, weird cave creature. This article about a scientific discovery, this creature in a cave in India. It was written so dramatically. It was wonderful. Here's the quote. For over a century, spelunkers in eastern India reported seeing a cave-dwelling creature. The reports persisted, usually as passing mentions or brief observations of the unknown creature. No one studied it in depth until now. Right? That gets you. That hooks you. If every scientific discovery was written up like that, I would be a smarterer smarty. Because that one, I read that whole article. I was like, yes, what? What is it in this cave, this mystery creature? The write-up, so mysterious, so thrilling. But basically, the researchers went deep into this cave and they found a frog. Some new frogs. Frogs that are olive green. So, like frog color, what you would picture as a frog color. And the frogs are between 2.5 and almost 4 inches. That's it, new frog. Weird creature, new frog. Also in April, let's do it. Let's get into it. UFOs or UAPs. Here's what we wrote. The Pentagon continues to investigate UFOs/UAPs through their All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. This was after folks testified before a U.S. Senate committee in April. Part of the hearing was closed to the public. Seemed like what came out at the time, it seemed to me as though the government was saying most every UFO is explainable. UFOs are mostly regular things that have been misidentified. The government also saying it's not aliens. So all that happened in April. After that, we had some whistleblowers speaking in the press and to government officials, and some government officials taking an interest. And depending on who you believe, maybe the whistleblower is telling the truth. Maybe the whistleblower isn't. Maybe some of it is truth and some of it is not the truth. But after that April schmozzle, later on, there was a lot more alien talk or non-human biologics. So this story continues. This is the What a Weird Week show year in review.
May.
In May 2023, should they add bulls to professional rugby games? In France, in May, we had this story. A bull ran onto the rugby field during warm-ups, then chaos. The players scrambled. The bull was there for a pre-game. You couldn't even write this, I don't think. If you were dreaming up how do we get a bull into the... Listen, if this is a genre you've gotten into, a fan fiction, rugby fan fiction with bulls, I don't want to read the manuscript. No offense, I'm sure it's wonderful. This bull was there for a pre-game parade to advertise local meat. And the bull broke free from his handler and then all the excitement. We have a link to the video in the show notes. At the time, we wondered maybe this makes, if you're a rugby fan, you find it exciting already. But for those of us who don't understand rugby, my kid played in high school, but I really didn't understand the rules and stuff. If you threw in a couple of bulls, I'm just saying that amps it up for us outsiders. But the thing I couldn't quite figure out, and I still haven't, do you have a whole team of bulls versus a team of humans, or do you have two human teams playing, but also some bulls on the field? I'm not sure which way to go. I guess it's up to the TV networks at this point. In May of 2023, we had a PG-13 headline. I'm going to read it, PG-13. The birds are high AF. This was inspired by reports out of Britain of seagulls stealing illicit and or recreational drugs from human people, essentially people smoking drugs near the shore, and seagulls steal those drugs out of their hands. The theory is that maybe it was a mistake at first. Maybe the seagull sees, hey, look at that human. Look at that delicious French fry. The human is, look, it's smoking. It's a big fat French fry that is smoking. I'm going to swoop down and eat that thing. And then it wasn't a French fry. And then perhaps the seagulls enjoyed the substance. Metro UK says gulls will go for anything. And if you're a little bit high at the time, you're in no position to what? Fend off a gull? That gull wants that marijuana cigarette or what have you. That gull is going to get it. I think essentially, now I'm paraphrasing Metro UK. But anyway, I'm not sure how I feel about this because I find gulls are aggressive and maybe they need to relax a little. Maybe they need to mellow a little bit.
June.
From June of 2023, the whales fighting back. One of a few stories we had along these lines on the What a Weird Week show for 2023. I got this one from the Front Burner podcast. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to listen to that podcast. Killer whales sinking ships. They ram boats. They bite rudders. They've sunk boats. And it was in the news in June. One of the things that I found surprising is, I assumed it was an accident. Some people were like, the whales are getting vengeance. And the experts say, probably not that. But also, it's not on accident. It's not an accidental thing. They are doing it on purpose. And at the time, one of the experts said they might even be teaching younger whales how to do it. Or the younger whales are mimicking what mom and dad whale are doing. Maybe they're not teaching them on purpose, but the younger whales are picking up the behavior. So they do it on purpose, but why was the question for the experts. Most of the experts are saying it's not cold-blooded attempted murder, but more research needed. And this time in June, it wasn't the last time we talked about whales sinking ships. Not solved yet. Thanks for being here. This is the What a Weird Week show year in review.
June.
We had this one on the program in June of 2023. United States Supreme Court has sided with whiskey and not with the dog toy company. A follow-up story about the chew toy for dogs that looked like a bottle of Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels was like, wait, that's our brand, logo, whatever you call it. That's our intellectual property. and you're making money off it. You did not pay us any of that money. That is a highly sophisticated legal document I just read from. No, I'm just kidding. That was paraphrasing. Oh, you knew that? Oh, okay. These dog chew toys, they had more than just Jack Daniels. They had a bunch, like a theme of parody dog chew toys. The underlying joke of all of these parody chew toys was some sort of doggy-doo, poop jokes. The Jack Daniels one said, the label on it said old number 2 on your Tennessee carpet instead of old number 7. The dog toy company lost a unanimous decision from the United States Supreme Court, which found that the toy is in violation of the trademark owned by the Jack Daniels. I'm not a lawyer there, but at the time I thought I was, and I said the dog chew toy defense was basically, hey, it's a joke. Again, paraphrasing, and allegedly, and innocent until proven guilty, whatever I'm supposed to say at this point, I'm not sure. One of the interesting things about this one was a number of brands were watching carefully what the Supreme Court was going to decide. Nike had their eyes on this. Campbell Soup, apparently. Levi Strauss. A lot of the big brands were like, Supreme Court, you got to have our back on this one. We don't want poop jokes all over the place at our expense. You guys, we've gone long on this one. We're only halfway through the year of weird. So we're going to stop there and come back next week and finish up the weird news stories of 2023. Next Friday, we'll drop that episode. If you want show notes or to subscribe to our podcast, something like that, you can go shownotes.page. If you're tuned in on the live stream, thank you for doing that. We are featured on Funhouse Radio every weekend. You can ask your smart speaker to play Funhouse Radio, and you can catch us as part of the programming there. Happy New Year, you guys. All the best in 2024. Catch you next week.